All right, what's going on? Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever, wherever, however you're watching the WarTide podcast. This is episode number 6. Before we do anything else, I want to give y'all the verse of the day. And the verse of the day is Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. If you don't know God, please find God. The time is definitely coming. You never know when the day is your last day. You never know when God is returning uh, to come save all of us. So if you don't know God, find God, please. I mean, it is He died for our sins. He's not closing heaven off for anybody, no matter what you done, no matter how much guilt you got. So if you seek Him, He is always there waiting for you. Uh, with that being said, we're gonna get straight into it. And before I say anything else, I just want to give a round of applause. We've been so consistent and so good. Just a round of applause for me and Garrett. Yeah, I just wanted to give ourselves a little pat on the back this Monday. How are we doing this Monday, Garrett?
Fantastic. Glad to be on a consistent schedule now.
Oh yeah,
Go ahead and clap it up for the consistent
yeah.
schedule.
Clap it up,
There we
clap it
go.
up, clap it up, clap it
Back
up.
on Mondays. Let's go. Let's go.
Um,
Um, that's insane.
but yeah, I guess I've made you start on Alabama the past 2 Saturdays. So I guess I'll get into all the issues over here. First off, I want to say I'm wearing a specific shirt. It says Final Four. That's not football. That's basketball. Basketball season's coming up, so maybe things start turning around for me pretty soon. Um, before I get into anything about the upcoming game or the previous game, Damari Alston today announced that he is no longer on the Auburn football team. Well, Hugh Freeze announced it. What Hugh Freeze said was he did not meet the expectations. He did not uphold the Auburn standard, and I'm gonna call absolute bulljive. I don't believe that. Um, I I like. I'm not the biggest fan of Hugh Freeze's play calling. I'm not gonna say he's a terrible person, but I do not appreciate, when your head coach comes out and blatantly lies about a captain, a team leader, somebody that was on the leading committee. Was Damari Alston in the green for quitting? Leave that to you know your own opinion. Um, I'm not gonna get into all that. We don't know what happened, but from all of the support coming to Mari Alston's way, I highly doubt it was anything off the field, and I didn't like the way Hugh Freeze made that sound today in the Monday presser. Um, but just wanted to say that. Uh, with that being said, I guess we'll get into the review of the Auburn Georgia game, and like I really try not to point fingers at anybody other than Auburn because I don't want to be that fan. But I'm gonna get out the officiating very first, so that way I don't have to worry about it later on. When I watched the Oklahoma game earlier this year, I thought to myself, "Wow, that was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen in my life." And then Saturday at 6:30 p.m., really close to 6:45, I watched something that was worse. I didn't think that was possible, and somehow they managed to do it in a 3-week span. Um, I don't know what Auburn has done. Hugh Freeze is a very open-minded guy. He says what he wants. He doesn't filter anything. The only thing I can think in my brain is that he said something to an official about an official, to Robert Sankey, to somebody, and he just
Greg Sankey.
Greg Sankey, my bad, but he said something to somebody, and got under their skin and put a target on Arthur's back. That's the only thing I can think, because you know the fumble, their size that are saying it was size, they're saying that it wasn't. I think he crossed just the plane. I believe he crossed it. There's a lot of people who think that. But even if you take that call away, it was still a poorly officiated game. Stoppage like after every play. It's like these guys have never even refed an SEC game a day in their lives. And I understand. It's a Jordan Hare night game. It's a big game. It gets loud. It's hard to, keep your thoughts, but you have to have some sort of professionalism if you're coaching the SEC. And I just thought it was poor all the way around. It's and like I said, I'm not trying to make no excuses, not trying to point fingers, but it makes it really difficult to win a game when the refs have obviously chosen a side and they can't handle themselves. So if Georgia gets all these passes, right? Like, I don't really necessarily agree with the targeting call. Some people do. I didn't for Kay and Lee. And then later on in the game, Georgia, dude literally led with the crown of the helmet. Maybe it's not head to head. I thought he caught the side of the dude's helmet. The helmet did pop back. They didn't review it, so I didn't get a lot of angles. I thought that was targeting more than the K and Lee targeting call. So there's that. There was a lot of misholding calls. Roughing the passer that I didn't necessarily totally agree with. It could go either way. There were lots of calls towards the end of the game on that drive that sealed it for Georgia that I thought, could have been game changing. Then you got the I didn't call timeout. He was clapping. A lot of people are saying Georgia didn't score on that drive, so what does it matter? I'll tell you what it matters. With about 5 minutes left on a third down, Georgia had 2 timeouts because the refs didn't charge him a timeout. And the play clock was running down, and Kirby Smart got a timeout off. Does he still call that timeout if he only has 1 timeout left? We'll never know. And that could have been, that was the difference between a 3rd and 4 and a 3rd and 9. And we won't know what happens with that because it was too late. To me, if you're a coach and it's a 1-score game, you're only up 3. This isn't everybody, but I think most of the time you just take the penalty. You hold on to that timeout because you don't know what's going to happen later on in the game. Auburn could have very well gone and got their own field goal and tied the game. Now you need that 1 timeout, but who knows? So, like, it didn't affect the score, but it affected late game management, and that plays into a factor of how you can manage the game and win the game. So that's its own thing, but very, very bad officiating. I didn't really appreciate it. Nothing's gonna happen. We won't know if anything does happen because they don't care to tell us. They don't have to tell the public for whatever reason. But that's enough of that. I'm not trying to. I just wanted to mention it. Don't want to dwell on it. Auburn's defense is one of the better defenses in the SEC, in my opinion. I think they've proven that week in, week out. The offense is just an absolute problem. The first half looked absolutely amazing. It looked like they were prepared to put some BTA on Georgia. And then you expect Kirby Smart, one of the greatest head coaches in college football right now, you expect him to go in and make halftime adjustments. So where's yours? Hugh Freeze in the Monday presser today said, why aren't we making the same throws that we did the first half? Why aren't the same plays working that they did in the first half? Well, Hugh Freeze, let me tell you, Kirby Smart makes adjustments. Just because it's a similar look doesn't mean the defense is going to give you the same thing. There's a lot of similar looks. There are plays designed to look like a blitz, but it's a zone coverage. DJ Durkin runs a lot of that stuff. So, you can get similar looks right? But the defense is expecting you to do what you did in the first half. So what do the similar looks matter if they know what you're about to do, right? They want you to fall into that trap of the similar look. They want you to fall for that. And that's what Kirby Smart is really good at doing. He makes those adjustments, and he's ready come second half. Kirby Smart in the second half is one of the best coaches I've ever seen in my life defensively. So there's your answer, Hugh Freeze. He made those adjustments, and he was prepared for you to run the same plays that you did in the first half. You got to change it up. So first half, great play calling. Second half, you got to change it up. You got to look different. He did. I enjoyed the fact that he tried to run the ball. I felt like there could have been more outside runs. Bounce it out to the outside. I felt like Jackson got a little bit one too many designed runs. I would have liked Damari and Jeremiah Cobb to get more design runs for them, but that's neither here nor there. I kept waiting for the play action deep shot, and it kind of never really happened. That's something that Hugh Freeze is kind of known for since he's gotten to Auburn is those deep shots, and you spend 2 weeks in a row doing nothing but deep shots, and then you get into Georgia, and right when you have them biting on the run and the short pass game, you just don't throw it in there. And when you do throw it in there, Jackson missed it. So he got like one shot downfield. I think there was a total of like 3 deep balls. I don't know the exact amount. I didn't look it up, but he only had a few. So there's that, and it's a very confusing time to be an Auburn fan. I just wish we had an OC that called the plays instead of Hugh Freeze. I think the roster is good. I think his motivation to the team is good. Like I said, it's just the offensive play calling. Like, if I knew nothing about football, right, and I just watched the first game of Auburn, if I just watched an Auburn game, I would think this guy, Hugh Freeze, is a defensive coach. Defense is playing stellar, offense just sucks it up. But guess what? He's the offensive guru. So what are we doing? I don't know. I'm not out on Jackson Arnold because there's no way you can tell me that a guy that just threw 16 picks in the ACC is going to be an elite starter in the SEC. Get that out of my face. Ashton Daniels is not the answer. And I don't think Deuce Knight is prepared to step up into this kind of heat, into this kind of environment just yet. I don't think Deuce Knight is there, so I'm not out on Jackson Arnold. He does need to be better with the accuracy. Thought he looked a lot better with getting the ball out this past Saturday. I thought his decision making was a lot better, but Hugh Freeze needs to find a way to take what he did this Saturday and take what he did versus Oklahoma and kind of just mesh it together, except for the blocking. Don't mesh that in any way, shape, or form. Leave that at the house. My last hope is we fire the offensive line coach, sign a new one, fire the special team coach, get a new one, and get a real OC. And I think that would bring a lot of help to Auburn, and put us in the right direction. I don't know about Hugh Freeze anymore. If he can get those things out of the way, I'm totally down to keep him. But if he just stays like this, at some point it's got to change. I'm sorry I went on that rant. I'm finishing up here, and I'll give the floor to Garrett.
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk too much about the officiating. It sucked. I guess the biggest takeaway is the officials lost control of the game. And that can never happen, especially at this level of college football. This is not the MAC. It's not the Mountain West. It's the SEC. That simply just cannot happen. I'm going to talk more about kind of negative on Hugh Freeze. They dominated the first half. And yeah, it didn't end the way they wanted to end it. But from the 2 minute warning to halftime, there was like 36 minutes or something insane like that. For all that time to pass, and then for him to head into the locker room, kind of have that pre-halftime interview that he had, I remember thinking, man, if he goes into the locker room and talks to those players with the same attitude he's talking to the reporter, Auburn is in some serious trouble. And sure enough, the second half was just terrible. There was no mental edge for Auburn, which is extremely important, especially when you're playing in the SEC against Georgia. Absolutely zero mental edge. I mean, the second half stats, Auburn got outscored 17-0. Georgia outpassed them 158 yards to 30. Rush yards, they got outrushed 60 to 10. Third downs, Georgia was 5 of 11. Auburn was 0 for 6. And the time of possession was 22 minutes for Georgia to 7 minutes for Auburn. Here's why that's such an issue. If you think back to the Oklahoma game and the Texas A&M game, the second halves have been terrible. Absolutely terrible. I went back and looked at the drive charts and looked at the second half stats over the past, few couple games or whatever. I don't know what's going on with this Auburn team in the second half, but they have just been playing terrible on offense. Defense looks fine. Offense, terrible. And like you said, he's supposed to be this offensive guru or whatever. That's total horse crap. Um, See, I was listening to someone talk today, and he seemed pretty convinced that should he kind of lose this locker room a little bit, and Missouri game kind of you can tell that this game's kind of lingering over to the Missouri game on the mental side of things. Do not be surprised if Hugh Freeze is not the head coach going into the Arkansas game. I know Jim Cohen came out, or John Cohen, whatever y'all's athletic director name is, he came out with a statement. Yeah, John Cohen. He said it's not his expectation at this point in the football program. I think that's total BS. I think there's a lot of pressure. He wouldn't have to make that quote if there wasn't a lot of pressure coming from the outside. Watch, I'm serious. If Auburn comes out and lays an egg versus Missouri, you could really be looking at DJ Durkin being the interim head coach for Arkansas. And I can guarantee you this. I'm going to make this guarantee. If Auburn somehow goes and loses at home to Missouri and then goes to Fayetteville and loses to Arkansas, Hugh Freeze will not make whatever y'all's next game is. He just won't. Because I think here's the issue with it. The issue is how is Auburn responding in the second half? They're just not. Control the controllables. As much as you hate it, and as much as you can say the referees screwed Auburn over, Auburn has no control over that. But to come out totally flat in the second half should be unacceptable. And the administration, rightfully so, and the fan base should be looking at that upset and saying that starts from Hugh Freeze down. All right, it was a weird first half, but it's very clear. In case anybody had any doubts, Georgia has a much better culture than Auburn football does. And it was so evident. It's so evident in the second half. Um, you could see what Auburn could do in the first half because they killed them for the whole first half up until a minute 37. Whenever um, the QB sneak fumble, I don't even know what to even call it. Up until that point, Auburn dominated the game, killed Georgia, and few bad calls don't go their way. I get it, that sucks. But you cannot go into the locker room with the attitude he had and pass it on to your players and then come out in the second half and it just continue. And as if it couldn't get any worse, yeah, a captain quit on the team this morning. And I don't know the story behind it. Regardless of what it is, that's just never good to see. There's no way that's good. That never ends good. So I'm being serious. We're going to talk a little bit later about coaches being fired and whatnot. I think this coaching cycle is going to be insane. And I honestly, at this point, I hope it's not true because I like Hugh Freeze, mainly because he sucks. Um, that Auburn job is probably gonna come open. That's my prediction. Next couple of weeks, I'm telling you, I think it's gonna happen, unless a coaching miracle takes place, which knowing Auburn might be the most Auburn thing to happen. and they're going to extend him to like a 10-year contract, and you might shoot yourself, Anderson, if
that
that happens. So
that'd be just my luck. I'll tell you that. Whatever it is that we gotta pay them if they sign him to that 10-year deal, I'll come up with it. I'm gonna win the lottery just for that. I don't want to
no, I
dwell
don't
too
blame you.
much on the Georgia game. That was another rough one for me. I'm mentally exhausted, so I'm going to go ahead and look ahead to Missouri. I think it's another night game in Jordan Hare. I think Auburn has a pretty good chance to finally get their win. It really, I say this, but like I'm losing the hopefulness and believing that Auburn's actually going to pull it off. But Auburn has time and time again proven that they can stay in the game with these elite teams. They've proven it 3 times this year that they can stay in the game with an elite team. At some point, I'm telling you, it's just Auburn to find a way to win one of them. You have a really nice stretch here if you can beat Missouri. You have Missouri, then you have Arkansas, then you go on the road to Vandy. The Vandy's probably going to be the toughest of the 3, but I don't think that's so out of reach. I think the Georgias, the Texas A&Ms, and the Oklahomas of the world are ahead of the Vandys. And if you can stay in the game with these guys, if you just get one win that kind of shifts momentum your way, I can see us going on a 3-game win streak. At this point, I don't know if I want that to happen, because, like you said, if he does start to lose that locker room, I'm with you. I totally believe everything that you're saying. Yeah, I think Hugh Freeze's job is in really big jeopardy, and that's what I said last week going into this game, that if he does not show something competent, which he did, he showed a competent first half. If he does not show anything competent, that his job was on the line. Luckily for him, he showed a competent first half, and so that kind of gave him a little bit of I don't want to say a breather, but it kind of just gives him a little bit more time. I hope we don't go on a 3-game win streak for the greater good. I do want to see us beat Missouri. I want to see us win a game in Jordan Hare. I need to see that. It's a night game. I believe Auburn gets it done. How? I can't tell you. I don't even know anymore. I feel like I'm going to be a broken record if I tell you the same 3 things. What I can tell you, though, is I don't necessarily think it matters who they beat the rest of the year. If he loses to Alabama and he goes 0-6 against his top 2 rivals in his 3 years at Auburn, I think he's done regardless. I think he has to find a way to beat Bama regardless of what happens through the rest of the year, which John Cohen might not look at it that way, but to me as an Auburn guy, you go 0-6. 0-6 in your 3 years as the Auburn head coach against those 2 rivals is really not something you want to keep around. That kind of kills culture in that locker room. That kind of kills culture for the future, in my opinion. You can have close games all you want, but if you're not winning them, what does it matter? Because these recruits don't go back. They don't go back and watch what happened during the game. These recruits in the next 2 years aren't going to be like, oh, well, 3 years ago you almost beat Georgia, but the officiating was bad. They're not going to care about that. They're going to see that you've lost to them for what? I don't think we've beaten Georgia since 2018. It might be 2017.
17.
Yeah, 2017. And that carries over. We haven't beaten Alabama in what, 6 years? They're on a 6-game win streak.
19.
5 years.
19, yeah.
I mean,
five win streak.
These guys see that, and you want to be an Auburn Tiger. You carry those 2 games with pride. So I think it does not matter who he beats for the rest of the year. I think he has to find a way to beat Bama, which I say that, but if he goes undefeated and his only loss is to Bama, I know he's going to be here next year. But I think Missouri and Alabama are the most important games left on the schedule. You find a way to win both of those, and Hugh Freeze still has a job. Well, and you have to find obviously two more wins in there because you're going to beat Mercer. You have to find a way to beat an Arkansas or Kentucky to keep your job. But
So you're thinking as long as he makes a bowl game, probably keeping his job?
no, it depends on who you win. I feel like Missouri, insert team like Kentucky or Arkansas, Mercer, and Bama. I think those four wins keep him as the head coach. I think that's a 7-5 season. I think that gives him
Yeah.
one more year at least. You lose to Missouri and you beat Arkansas, Kentucky, Mercer, and you've only gotten 6 wins. I think he's gone. I think he's gone. Um, yeah, that's really how I see the rest of the season. So I'm not even watching to hope that Auburn wins anymore. I'm just watching to see what Hugh Freeze is gonna do.
It's the Auburn experience right there.
Yeah, it really is. I have really no further comments on the Auburn debacle, uh, fire, the Auburn explode. I have nothing left to say.
Yeah, I don't either. It's time will tell. Like I said, he's got two really important games coming up over the next 2 weeks. It's put up or shut up time. Could be getting a new coaching spot coming open if he doesn't get it together. I mean, just this Missouri game, it. I said after the Oklahoma game, whenever they were getting ready to play Texas A&M, is the attitude responding to Oklahoma was going to be everything versus Texas A&M. It's the same way this game. It's all about attitude. They come out flat, look dysfunctional, don't look ready to play. I don't think it's gonna be a pretty next couple weeks down there on the plains for the Freeze family. Maybe for you Auburn fans, y'all not gonna mind too much, but
Well,
not for Hugh
there's
Freeze.
a lot of Auburn fans that don't want Hugh Freeze fired. For what? I can't necessarily tell you. Um, I understand that we're gonna lose the talent, but you just have to go through that if you want a chance to win. I'm all for firing Freeze for the simple fact we fired um Gus Malzahn to find a winning head coach. Hugh Freeze will not be that winning head coach. I can guarantee it now. He's not going to go any further. He's not going to be any better than Gus Malzahn ever was, and I can guarantee you that right now. So for
Yeah.
that reason right there, I am fully ready and prepared to just suffer, take the losses of the talent, and find the right guy. And you never know if DJ Darkin becomes the interim, he does good. You might sign him. You might retain a lot of these players. If you find a really good head coach and he gets in there and he keeps these young kids with a great attitude and that they buy in, these guys might stay. I'm not saying all of them will, but that is something to also keep in mind.
Didn't they fire Gene Chizik, who won a national championship there? Didn't they fire him like 2 or 3 years after he won the Natty? I don't know the full story behind it, but
Gene Chizik did not win that national championship.
okay. The guy who was the head coach when Cam Newton won the national championship.
Yeah, they fired him, but
Yeah.
I think he had a 2-win. I think that was a 2-win year.
Oh yeah,
So
so he just
it
sucked. Okay.
it was very well deserved. I am not a fan of Gene Chizik. I as an Auburn fan,
Yeah.
very
No.
much dislike Gene Chizik. I think the only reason he had a job is because of Cam Newton. Well, not why he
Yeah.
had the
You
job,
know,
but
yeah.
why he had
He
the
kept it longer
extension.
than he
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. I will say, if you make the right hire, I don't think a ton of players leave. Um, do you make the right hire? My only concern would be like this cycle is I think there's going to be so many jobs open and there's going to be so much mess. You don't know what you could end up with. So that would be a concern if the job does come open this year. Because I think there's going to be quite a few big name jobs coming open. Obviously, we know Penn State just came open, biggest job in the country. UAB just came open.
Oh,
So
needle mover.
you know,
Well, in that
so
aspect, I think there's only two bigger jobs open at the current moment, and that's Penn State and well, it's not open yet, but Penn State and Florida.
Florida,
I
Florida,
think those are the only two competing. I don't see another job that will be open that will be bigger than Auburn, unless
bigger?
something
No,
absolutely crazy happens. I think Auburn, they the one thing, and I've said this, Hugh Freeze has drawn more attention to Auburn. He has done that, and I'm greatly appreciated because when he leaves, people are going to be attracted to the job. I think there is real attraction to the Auburn name, the Auburn brand, and I think coaches are going to look at that. And when you see that there's only two real competitors that's going to pay as much as you are, and that have the NIL money and the connections that you do with as many coaches that are going to be available, I think we wind up with a good hire no matter what.
would you say Florida State's a bigger job than Auburn?
Not at the moment because Auburn for the past 3 years at with Hugh Freeze, they've been in top seven recruiting classes, and I think that goes a long way. And I'm not saying Florida State isn't, but I think, but that's all. That's
Projections.
different
Yeah,
opinions. Somebody
right.
might view Florida State as a better job than Auburn. Personally, I don't think so. Just for conference connections, money, and recruiting.
Yeah.
But I think Florida State has a lot of that. I think, but I think I don't know. It depends on the coach that you are. If you want the easier route,
I'd
go to
agree.
Florida State.
Yeah.
If you want the easier
They're in a
route, go to
recruiting
Florida State.
hotbed too. Florida's no joke when it comes to recruit. So if you get a coach that can get in there, that can coach, can take advantage of the easier schedule, and can recruit at a really high level, that Florida State job, no doubt that is a
That is a good job.
highly wanted job.
Hopefully, Mike
But it's
Norvell does enough to keep his job, so I don't even have to
yeah,
worry about
yeah.
it.
He hasn't even been fired yet. There has been a lot of talk surrounding that though. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that later though when we talk about
And, hey,
James Franklin. So yeah, that's all I got on the whole Auburn crap and whatnot.
we'll see what happens. I have nothing left
Yeah.
to say.
Nah.
How about them Tide? Huh? Let me know something about the
All
Tide.
right. All right. So I don't have the exact stat. I think Kalen DeBoer in that last season at Washington won like 8 possession games. And people kept thinking, "Oh, it's going to catch up to him. It's going to catch up to him." I don't know. At some point, is it luck that you keep winning by 1 possession, or is there something there? So, I mean, look, Alabama's been in 3 losable games the past 3 weeks, obviously beating 3 top 15 teams. 15? Top 15? Either way,
Yes,
ranked
yes.
teams in back-to-back-to-back weeks. I'm really proud of the way this team showed up. Jam Miller went down. You got dominated on the run game, even though Ahmad Hardy did not dominate you. Their rushing attack overall dominated you. If you would have said all those things would have happened and Ryan Williams would be hurt, not really able to play much, I would have said, oh, we are in trouble, especially after that first drive. But this team responded so incredibly well. They were so poised, composed the whole game. They don't seem flustered. That's the difference between, I think I've talked about this before. This Alabama team and last year's Kalen DeBoer team is there were times where they showed Kalen DeBoer and it was clear that man had no idea what was going on. This year, it does not seem like that. There were times that you did not think the Alabama team had any kind of mental edge whatsoever. They weren't composed. They were making stupid mistakes. It seems like they didn't want to be there. And we saw that during the Florida State game this year. Literally every game since then, something's just changed about this Alabama team. I don't know what it is, but I love it. Kalen DeBoer talks different in his interviews. I mean, he had a quote today. It was like, shut up. What'd he say? Let's see. I have it saved. But I mean, let's see. No, I don't have it saved. But it was like shut up and like just get the work done. And that's something if you've heard him talk over the past year, he hasn't sounded like that very often. It kind of seems like he's almost afraid of the SEC media a little bit, and he's given these very typical coach speak answers. His intensity, even in the interviews, has ramped up so much just in the past few weeks. I'm really confident in this team. I'm really confident in Ty Simpson. We did our Heisman favorites last week. I had Ty Simpson second, Dante Moore first. Obviously, Dante Moore not first anymore. Ty Simpson's first. I'm a firm believer that Ty Simpson, if Alabama keeps winning, which they will be favored in every single one of their games from here on out, more than likely, if they keep winning, Ty Simpson's going to win the Heisman. I think he's poised to do it because he's so cool, calm, collected. He makes the throws he needs to make. He's been protecting the football. He had one fumble against Missouri, but you're going to turn the ball over. But after that fumble, he was just so lights out. Didn't have a perfect game, but I mean that 4th and 8. I don't know if you saw it, dude. I haven't seen too many throws at the college level better than that. Dude put it on a dot. I mean, just everything, the way this team is made up, their attitude surrounding this team and the coaching staff, it all looks so good. Alabama is absolutely a national championship contender. They absolutely can compete for the SEC. They have a Heisman candidate. They can absolutely win out every single game from here on out. But they can also lose some games. They can miss out on the playoffs because they already have that one loss. So it only takes a couple losses to bump them out now. Um, so it depends. Is this sustainable for Alabama? I think that's the big question. I sure hope it is because I promise you, if Alabama sustains this, buckle up because this Alabama team is going to be a tough out. I'm really excited for the rest of the season. I believe in this team. I'm serious. Every week, I'm getting more and more confident that starting to feel a little bit like 2020 around here. Last national championship. It's been too long. It'll be 5 years. So I think it's about time another one comes home to Titletown. So I think it could.
I'm not gonna say I agree nor disagree. That is all to be determined. I will say I heavily agree with you with Kalen DeBoer's attitude. It is completely 180 since he got to Alabama. He looks like a serious SEC coach. He looks like he's finally taking it serious over here in Bama. I don't know what Saban did to him after they lost to Florida State at the beginning of the year. He got a hold of him. I'll let you know that now. It's a whole new attitude for DeBoer, and as if I was a Bama fan, it would be refreshing to see. It would kind of be like a breath of relief. If I was a Bama fan, he looks a lot more poised. He looks like he's supposed to be in the position that he's in. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. I've talked a lot of smack on Kalen DeBoer. Right now, he is fully. I need to see one. I need to see him beat Tennessee. If they come in and they dominate Tennessee like they have Georgia, like they have Missouri, like they did Vandy, if they do that again, I will kneel. I will say I'm sorry, Kalen DeBoer. I was completely wrong, and he would have, to me, shown that he deserves to be the Alabama head coach. I've talked a lot of smack about him, but this Alabama team is starting to look really good. The defense is getting better every week. The offense looks like the Kalen DeBoer offense from Washington that was highly touted. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with Jalen Milroe not being the quarterback anymore. No offense to Jalen Milroe, but that's not his style of offense. He
No.
operates with an accurate quarterback. Uh, Ty Simpson does have the legs, but Ty Simpson is looking to throw the ball. Jalen Milroe was looking to make a play. Ty Simpson is looking to score the ball no matter what it takes. And that is Kalen DeBoer's offense. And there's no reason he wouldn't. As long as it keeps a guy like that in that position, I think that Alabama offense will be good, will do enough to win every time. And like I said, that defense is coming together more each week. Um, I'm not I'm not sold on Womack. I don't know if you are. A lot of controversy between fans. He's a bend don't break type of guy, and if you're not breaking, it is what it is. If you're just bending and not breaking, I think it's acceptable. Um, so there's lots to look up to, look forward to, if you're a Bama fan. Um, I think Kalen DeBoer is finally finding his groove, his rhythm. I think he's finally getting comfortable. Um, I think Ryan Grubb is probably one of the better OCs in all of college football. Like I said, I'm not completely sold on Womack. More to be seen on that. But yeah, if they find a way to win this weekend, and I believe they do, I'll predict that later. Um, but if they find a way to win this weekend, I believe they're set up for absolute success, and could be SEC champs and potentially national champs. And we'll see what happens for the rest of the year. Um, but I'll say it once again. I'm scared of Ty Simpson, man. He just looks too good in this Kalen DeBoer offense. He's a really accurate thrower of the ball, really smart, quick on his feet when he has to be. And I told you, last week, if I had a vote, Ty Simpson would be the Heisman in my vote. And last week he kind of solidified that. And with Dante Moore going down, there's really no debate on who the best quarterback in college football is right now.
And that's who?
That is Ty Simpson
Cool. All right.
for the
Just
Alabama
needed
Crimson Tide. Yeah.
that. Yes, sir. Yeah. Big fan of Ty. Big fan of Ty. Just everything about him. All right. He exudes everything that you want from the Alabama Crimson Tide quarterback, if you are an Alabama fan. Everything about him. I mean, the dude literally talks like Nick Saban. I we I wouldn't want anybody else to be my quarterback. I think him be under center, um, probably about the best thing that could have happened to Kalen DeBoer at this point in time after the Jalen Milroe thing. And I love Jalen Milroe. He could not run that offense. He just could not, and I think it's very clear. I'm starting to believe in Kalen DeBoer. I'm hesitant to say that they for sure made the right hire following Nick Saban, but I'm pretty close if they keep winning football games over the next couple weeks to saying that. I think I want to see him get through the South Carolina game, um, which is the game after Tennessee. My own dad has been very critical of Kalen DeBoer. He didn't like the hire to begin with, and up until recently, he was not a fan, not a fan. But we had a bet. This came last year that if Alabama builds statues for coaches who win national championships, so regardless of how pretty it is, regardless of how bad it gets after that, if Kalen DeBoer wins a national championship, there will be a statue of him outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. So we have a bet going that if that happens, my dad has to go take a picture in front of that statue, and we are getting it printed nice and big and putting it in our basement for him to remember every time he sees it that he did not believe in that man. So, as much as I want to see Alabama win a national championship just because I'm an Alabama fan, I would love to just see that hanging up in our basement. I think that would be fantastic.
Uh,
Um,
I do have a question.
yeah,
You
go
you
ahead.
believe that if Kalen DeBoer wins one national championship, he's getting a statue?
It's yeah, Alabama has a statue for every coach that has won a national championship.
Oh,
It may not
okay,
come right after it.
okay.
It may not come right after it, but like I think Nick Saban won his first one in '09, right? I think they built that statue in like 2011 or something. Um, and then Gene Stallings, who has one, he has a statue. Wallace Wade, obviously Bear Bryant, and then
Well,
one other guy. I forget who it is.
I did not know that they had a statue for every national champion winner.
Yeah.
If I must
Yes, sir.
say, to be so top dog and so, number one all the time, I think that's a little ridiculous. But, that's
Well,
outside looking in. I'm a hater.
you
I'm a
know,
hater.
whenever they built Nick Saban's statue, they were not number one in national championships. So at the time, they really weren't. So Nick Saban kind of put them over that hump. They were behind Michigan when he after his first one, or they tied Michigan for
I,
the most or
I,
something like that. So
I'm really hating. I wish we had as many statues over there up at Auburn. I bet it.
we don't
Bet it
have
looks
any player
nice.
statues though. We just have too many good players that come through. We don't have to put one up of a quarterback or anything of the sorts. We
Yeah.
just, you know,
But
just too many good players. We
but
wouldn't have
hey,
enough room.
without debate, the best player went to Auburn. Like out of the two schools, the best player of the two schools definitely went to Auburn.
Hmm. I don't know, man. You need to get updated on some Landon Dickerson. All right, I think you put some respect on his name.
And with that being said, we're gonna go on and get to the preview for Alabama, Tennessee. Ooh, buddy. Ooh, buddy. What are your initial thoughts for this upcoming game?
So, who this game? You cannot write a history of SEC football. You cannot write a book on the history of SEC football without a good chunk of it being about the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry, the third Saturday in October. All right, before social media came into play, before the Iron Bowl kind of took the center stage for the Alabama's biggest game, Alabama-Tennessee defined the South. Um, back when our grandparents were growing up, this was the rivalry in the South. When the third Saturday in October rolled around, this was the game. And it's cooled down over the past couple of decades, but it is ramping back up. It is hot right now. The two teams, two very good teams on both sides. They've been going back and forth the past few years. Um, we all know that legendary interview with that Alabama student. He said they're low down, they're dirty, and they're some snitches. All right, that isn't just some stupid interview. That is the gospel according to Alabama fans around here. I said it in an earlier episode, and I meant it. I dislike Auburn. I really do hate Tennessee. I cannot stand them. I can't stand that stupid puke orange pumpkin crap of a color that they have. I don't like Phil Farmer. Phil Fulmer, he's a freaking snitch. All right. So I don't like Peyton Manning. He freaking big
Hey,
forehead.
whoa, whoa,
I hate
whoa,
everything.
whoa, whoa.
I hate everything about Tennessee. All right. And then the tradition. The tradition starting in 1961, Alabama athletic director said that if Alabama won the game, this is when Bear Bryant was there, and they were on a losing streak to Tennessee. He said, if y'all win the game, I'll give everyone a victory cigar. And ever since then, the winning team and the winning fans smoke a victory cigar once the game's over. Once you've won, it's not over until the cigars are lit. General Neyland, legendary coach for Tennessee, once said, "You don't know what a player's made of until he plays Alabama." Nick Saban said a couple years ago on College Game Day, it was easier to get his players up for the Alabama-Tennessee game than it was for the Iron Bowl. The This game, with all due respect to the Iron Bowl, I love the Iron Bowl, is out of the regular season the biggest game Alabama plays just about every year when Tennessee's good. Um, Alabama does currently lead this series 60 to 38 to 8. Um, 60 wins of Crimson dominance. That's a number that Tennessee has been chasing since before colored television. Um, so yeah, here comes the third Saturday in October. It's rolling around again. It's got a lot of history, a lot of hate. Um, and you better believe there's going to be about 100,000 strong in Tuscaloosa who's going to be ready to light up a cigar again. It's been a couple years. Man, I'm ready. I'm ready. I got. I told you I had a hat that said "I hate Tennessee." I wasn't joking. I really do have a hat that says "I hate Tennessee." Um, Everything about them, low down, dirty, some snitches.
Hey,
Can't stand them.
that's okay. Kind of like you said about Auburn, Georgia. It's a game you enjoy watching. Ever since shout out
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker, I've enjoyed watching the Tennessee Alabama rivalry. I'm not trying to throw no salt on no wounds over there, but when Tennessee is competing with Alabama, this is one of the best rivalries in all of college football, and I firmly believe that. Now, I only say shout out to Hendon Hooker because Josh Upal and that team and that offense that kind of brought this rivalry back to life. A rivalry that was dead in from what 2005. What was it?
And dude, it was like 17 years. Something
It was
insane.
a crazy streak, and they really rejuvenated it, and I'm glad. I never got the hype growing up of what Tennessee Alabama was all about because it was just Alabama every year. So how can I be intrigued in that if you know outside looking in? But ever since then, it's been a good game to watch every year. I'm excited to watch it this year. It's one of those you feel the hate. You feel the hate. I think the game is better when it's played in Tennessee. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying because Tennessee's gonna win. I'm just saying I think their crowd shows out more than the Alabama fans. No offense to
Well,
Bama's.
dadgum, every Alabama game is better when they don't play in a Bryant Denny. Ain't nobody could come in there and beat them. So
Uh,
I'd agree with that statement.
I think
Outside looking
it's
in,
more so.
longest win streak in college football right now.
Yeah, who just lost for that to happen? Was
Uh,
it Oregon?
Oregon, and
Yeah,
then
Oregon.
Alabama beat Missouri. Missouri had a longer win streak than Alabama,
That's
and
correct.
Alabama
Oh,
ended it.
yeah, because they had
So
a what was it, 15 games?
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would have
So
made it 16, which would have put them on top. So
so well, I mean, I don't really care about the win streak. I just like the fans. I don't. I'm really disappointed with Alabama's usual showing of fans. I always think they could do better.
yeah, they used to say Alabama fans sit on their hands. Um, but I mean, it makes sense. You see how much you can't see anything better than what we've already put out there. So, but Kalen DeBoer actually called out Alabama fans today and said that he needs Alabama fans to show up on Saturday
Oh
and
yeah.
make it a insane environment.
Oh yeah.
The last time when Nick Saban did that it was for the Alabama Tennessee game a couple years ago, and I was at that game, and that game was nuts. The loudest I've ever heard that stadium get was in that game. Um, I agree with you. Growing up, you didn't really know kind of just how much hatred this game could have. Um, Obviously we're seeing it now. I got my first dose of it when I'm in middle school, and I'm going to my first third Saturday in October, and you're walking into your own stadium as a kid. I don't even think I was a teenager at the time, and grown men are sitting here saying "F you, F Bama," all this, and that's Alabama, Tennessee, love it, hate it. That's the reality. And that's when I realized just how much hate there is. And being in that stadium, it was let's see, that was what year was that? 2019. Tua's last year at Bama, so that was ended up being a pretty good game. Just being in that stadium for the first time for that game made me appreciate that game so much, and ever since then, that is the number one game. Not always the biggest game, not always the most important, but in my heart, Alabama Tennessee, it doesn't get much better than that. Beating Tennessee, mm, I shoot, I never mind seeing them boys lose. I'll say that.
I'm kind of. I don't really have many thoughts. I'm excited to watch this game as a fan of college football. Not really, not really like a spectator of. Okay, well, this is what I said in my podcast. I hope this comes true.
Yeah.
Now, I'm fully intrigued and excited to watch what I think will be a close game. What I think will be a competitive game. Might get a little bit rowdy. Might be some bloodshed. Who knows? I am fully prepared and excited to watch that game. To me, I relate to this game a lot to like, and I've said this multiple times. This is a rivalry that was stripped away from Auburn. Auburn LSU. I hate Bama, but I don't think there's a team I hate more than them LSU Tigers. I hate the LSU Tigers. The only thing I like about them is that purple and gold. It's a really nice combination. Everything else, forget them. Forget them. But that's kind of what I resemble it to, and I don't. I think the difference in this game is if Tennessee's defense will show up and try to limit the Alabama offense.
Yeah, I mean the LSU game. Speaking on that, that's one that got taken away from both of us. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
neither one of us get that game anymore, which is total horse crap. But whatever.
yeah. It is.
Talking about this game, yeah, you're right. I think the most important side of the football is going to be Tennessee's defense. Can they limit this Alabama offense? Um, the Tennessee's defense physically has just really not been there all year. You, they, we really thought Gunnar Stockton was just really that good after he played Tennessee, and he has not looked anywhere near how he looked versus anyone else than when he did at Tennessee. Um, Here's what I would look out for. Caden Proctor, he's been touching the ball the past 3 games. I'm telling you, he's going to touch the football again, and I think it's going to get more creative than it has been. And I'm saying right now, Caden Proctor is going to score a touchdown in this game, just because I think physically, him with the football, I don't think they're stopping him. I would not be surprised if he touched it multiple times. Uh, Other than that, can Ty Simpson continue to stay cool? I think he can. Can our defense continue the bend don't break kind of attitude? I think they can. Biggest concern, Jam Miller, probably gonna be out. Got knocked out last week. I hope he comes back, but at the same time, with those head injuries, if he's not ready to play, he does not need to play. Um, Ryan Williams, is he back healthy? I sure hope so, because I think him being out there and being able to not just be a distraction, which is what I thought he was just versus Missouri. I think they knew he wasn't going to touch the ball much, if not at all. They just solely used him as a distraction piece to pull the best cornerback on him when he was out there. But we're really going to need him to be effective. This Tennessee team is good. They can beat us. A lot of these teams with the home field winning streaks have lost this year, and this is a spot that Alabama could be the next. I know we'll get into predicting later. Obviously, everybody knows who I'm going with. I'm not picking against Alabama, especially when it's them. Um, but I really do think Alabama wins this football game. I think they are a better team. I think they're better coached as of right now. I think their edge, their attitude, um, is better than Tennessee's is right now. Now we will find out when they actually go head to head. I think the offensive line is beginning to play better, but I think they're going to need to pick it up a little bit. Missouri, they didn't play fantastic. Our center, Parker Brailsford, has not been playing good. I think they're going to make a change there. So I really hope that's the case because it's time to get, I think his name is Michael Carroll, the backup. I think he's going to be a better fit there. They did a lot of moving on the offensive line early in the year. I think it's time to try that again versus Tennessee. On the defense side of the ball, Damani Jackson, he's number one. I don't know if you saw the first touchdown for Missouri. The dude literally ran out of bounds in the middle of the play. I don't know
Yeah,
what he was
I
thinking.
saw it. I saw it. Best believe I
I
saw
guess he
it.
was thinking he could intercept the football, but that just was stupid.
Uh,
Dude took the under. I'm gonna tell you, he took the under. He needs to no longer be in that starting cornerback role. We have a 6'5" freshman who had an interception last week and should have had a second, but he dropped it. That's why he plays defense, not offense, because he can't catch. Dejon Lee Jr., dude's a dog. Like I said, 6'5", incredibly long arms, tall guy, can cover more than you would think. Now a lot of times with those big guys, you question how they can move and keep up with some of these smaller receivers. He can move very well, especially with the different coverage packages that Kane Womack is going to throw towards Tennessee. Yeah, so I like to see, you know, our center get subbed out and a change at the cornerback position. And if we can, Daniel Hill, he's our backup, our third string running back behind Jam Miller. Um, I forget, like Kevin Riley's our second string. This is Daniel Hill's day because this Tennessee defense is not quite physically what the past few teams' defenses we have played. Daniel Hill is a 245 pound, like he's the same size as Derrick Henry. Give him the football and let him just rumble through that defensive line and the linebacker group, and just complement that with your passing game. I think Alabama's going to be just fine, and I think they get out of there with a win. And Bryant Denny's going to be a little smoky at the end of it, and we can start looking forward to South Carolina. And at that point, if Alabama wins